Hey guys, I'm sorry if I was really inattentive of your comments last week, and if this video gets delayed. The spacebar on my keyboard broke, and only registers like 2/3 of the time when I press it, and you cannot fathom what a pain in the ass it is trying to hold a written conversation with people while that's a concern. Like most of the time it's fine, but enough of the time it's still a problem that you have to focus really hard on making sure the key worked properly on each press, and that causes your spelling to go out the window and your brain to start throwing out mad errors because too much of its runtime is getting taken up by, did the spacebar go off? I can't begin to tell you the number of times I've gone to write something like, that could be it, or they could have done it this way, and then when I read back through it before sending it, it goes, that could be it, could have been it way. It's maddening to try and type like this, and so I don't know if I'm even going to be able to complete this script until my new keyboard arrives, which is taking what feels like my entire goddamn life. But let's try anyways, even though it's miserable and distracting, and I keep doing stuff like putting a space in the middle of miserable, so it's miser and able, because I'm too focused on hitting the goddamn space key right. Yes, that really did just happen as I was writing this part of the script. God damn it. It's Legacy Not Missing Link Modern G1 Optimus Prime. But first, your likes. Please give, and maybe subscribe. And with this, I'm convinced that Hasbro has truly entered a no-shits-given era, and it makes me so sad because this figure was such an easy layup. It would have been so simple to make me love this thing, and they failed because they didn't fucking care. There is basically no cost for designing this, because this was not designed. Takara made the original Convoy literally 40 years ago in Japan after listening to one too many weird trucker songs. Hasbro just took what has existed for decades at this point, added hands and new joints, and called it a day. You could pay your dumbest intern to do this in a long afternoon, and that feels like it's what they did. So obviously, if it cost them nothing to work on this, then they made this the size of the original, or they made it out of really nice materials, or they gave it really good posing, or anything. Or, you know, God forbid they do all of the above considering the price of this thing and the fact that their work was already 90% done for them by a Burt Reynolds fan back in the 80s. Or any combination of them. But no, they did none of it. And I'm just left to ask in the most heartbreaking possible way, where did my money go, Hasbro? All I asked of this is that it be an update to a figure from my childhood. And you know what? It can be small. That's fine. It can have unimpressive posing. It existing would have been enough. But why could you at the very least not make this out of plastic that feels so terrible? You know how I'm always on about hand candy? Well, this is hand already been chewed gum. Every time I open the wrist doors, it feels like I'm going to snap it in the worst ways possible. Every time I have to squish the legs together for the transformation, I die a little inside. How do you do this so badly that the slick-sided tab that has absolutely no hold is still putting stress marks on the port? You must have been on so many downers while you were making this that they called you Quaalude Man in the office, able to sleep on any couch in a single blink. All I'm asking is that you tried, because I don't expect the world from this figure. I don't expect it to be diecast. I don't expect it to have Optus Pexus level posing. I don't expect it to be complex. I just expect this absolutely easy paycheck to feel like you gave even 1/100th of a shit. It would have been so easy to just do this right, and instead every aspect of it is unsatisfying. I don't want to shit on this thing. This should be beyond normal criticism because of what it's trying to be, as just a version of a positively ancient toy by modern standards with shoulder joints and 2 separate legs. And instead, it's not so much a toy as it is a flimsy statue. It sure looks like the thing it wants to be, and that's the one place it succeeds. If you want a thing that looks like G1 Optimus Prime and does nothing else, then here you go. It does a great job at standing there. But I'm going to be honest, this is a core class figure that they are selling as a deluxe. And I want to be clear, I don't despise this figure, because again, I don't want much out of this. But when my expectations are this low, and not for bad reasons, I just had a fair estimate for what something like this should be, it should not be able to undershoot them like Shia LaBeouf's shit-ass character designed this thing. Literally, if the figure just didn't feel like it was going to break because I dared touch it, I would be singing a different tune right now. Because it does look exactly like the thing that I want it to look like. It does look like the Optimus Prime I had in my childhood. If Optimus wasn't my first Transformer ever, then it was my second after Slag. So I am absolutely primed to love this. There is a deep nostalgia in me for this thing that has not earned it. It would be so easy to make me love this for the pure fact of it existing, because it matches my memories so perfectly, while just having that little bit extra. I mean, I remember it being bigger because I was smaller, and oh wait, no, the original toy was just about twice this size. So why is this small? There are plenty of deluxes way taller than this thing, and those actually had to be designed from the ground up. There are so many places that they could have put in the effort that they just didn't. They even gave this thing light piping in an effort to piss me off personally. And you know what? I don't even care. That's not what's killing this for me, and it at least feels like it would go on this thing back in the day. I mean, the original didn't have light piping, but it sure feels like it would have, and light piping is always garbage from the deepest part of Satan's asshole, but the head, despite the fact that this feature is draining the life from his eyes more than even the most scarring scene in the '86 movie, is great. Everything about the appearance is great. I look at this thing and I feel so happy it's hard to describe because it is what I want to see, so it does at least have some positive quality to it. But then I go to touch this thing and I'm psychically transported to the Hasbro boardroom in the bowels of hell, where they are all sat around a burning table and are just like, should we try on this thing at all? And someone responds, no, they're idiots. They will buy this no matter how little effort we put in and thank us for the privilege of having shit shoveled into their mouths. This comes with more than normal accessories, so you'd think that it might be where they're trying to make up for everything else, but it's not a ton, and it's all very weird. He gets 2 guns, for some reason. Neither is correct, for some reason. You get one thin one, which I don't know where the design for this one came from. It might be that they're trying to be more accurate to the show model and failing. And then it's got this one, which is more accurate to the one that the toy came with. However, it's missing the magazine that it used to hold it by, for some reason. Why do I need to have a teleporter accident between these 2 accessories when just this one with the magazine would have been perfect? And only this one is blast effect compatible, for some reason. Also, neither of these fit in his hands because they made the ports too small. Great work, numbnuts! I could force these in there, but again, I'm afraid of breaking this thing because of the shitty plastics. Then he has his axe, which again, does not fit in his hands because of the port size. Guys, you had like -5 jobs making this thing. How did you fuck this up? Then he's got a clear matrix of leadership. Oh great, my favorite. This is impossible to get out of his chest once you put it in, and why would you bother taking it out because he can't hold it because these hands suck. Lastly, he's got his smokestacks. Fuck you, this is not an accessory. So yeah, I don't understand. They gave us 6 accessories, only one of which seems to be able to work as intended, and that one just hangs out in his chest at all times, and 2 of which are just part of the figure's sculpt that are being called accessories, while the others are misdesigned and can't fit in his hands when that's something that every other figure manages to get right. Again, they didn't fucking try with this thing. Then you have the articulation, which is theoretically fine, but is also just so very weird. Expressive head on a ball joint, which you can cheat for a ton of up, 90 shoulders with backwards butterfly, normal 90 elbows, no hand articulation, there is a partial waist, monoskirt doesn't bother me because it is the design for this thing, and the legs are unimpeded in all directions, normal 90 knees, and feet with a rotation, a toe down, and a pivot. So there is enough here. Honestly, it might be a little bit better than average, but when nothing else is trying, this being fine doesn't cut it. The elbows could have bent more, the knees could have bent more, the hands could have existed at all. This aspect didn't need to be better for this particular figure to be worth the money, but when there is not one other thing that's where it should be, this could have been a place to try and really earn back some goodwill. But the key word there is try, and Hasbro just didn't want to. Then there's the transformation, and it doesn't surprise me that there is no complexity to this. It doesn't surprise me that there is no challenge. That's what I expected. That's what I wanted. What does surprise me is the way that it feels like the hands want to break off and the way the legs don't want to peg together. Why are the legs on slick-sided tabs? Guys, we mastered this technology a long time ago. It doesn't have to be a tab that wants to squish its way back out and leave stress marks. There is no reason something this insanely simple should be so stricken with the Play-Doh factor. These legs are desperate to roll apart. It feels terrible. And then the alt mode is constantly trying to flex itself apart, making gaps that shouldn't be there. It's way too easy to get the legs to separate unintentionally, but hey, it's got rubber tires, so I guess that's at least 5 cents that Hasbro spent on this thing. I don't want to shit on this mode too much, as it's pretty much doing what it set out to do. If only it could hold together better. It rolls nicely and smoothly, and I'll give it this. It may be a little small here, but it looks so much more appropriate with the Earthrise trailer than the Earthrise figure does. Honestly, as many misgivings as I have with this figure, I think it deserves this trailer more. And maybe if it came with it, I would feel less like Hasbro was trying to rip me off. And that's, I suppose, the main problem I have with this whole figure. I didn't think I could be ripped off with this. I knew what I was buying. I had reasonable expectations. As long as it posed as much as this already does, and it looked like it already does, and it was well made and held together in alt mode as easily as something this simple should have been able to do, I would have been happy. But they just didn't try. And there's nothing in this world that pisses me off more than the feeling like you thought you were entitled to my money. I had miles of slack ready to give this thing, and it took it all and more. And if this was a $10 figure, I wouldn't have complained. Or if it came with the trailer, maybe I wouldn't have complained. There is no reason that this is deluxe price other than they thought they could just get away with it. And I don't hate this thing, it's doing a lot of what I wanted it to, but there's just a taint to it. And if they just used nicer materials and they sized the ports correctly, I would have had glowing praise for this. You don't understand just how much I want to love this thing. And instead here I'm telling you to wait for a sale. Because god damn it, the most effort they put into this thing is just how hard they tried to skimp out on us. I don't hate it, I don't. But I'm so heartbroken by it. Hell, maybe you could even say that this figure is weird. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. If you want to get on the wheel, join the Patreon or become a channel member. And this time it's Shio Soup with Fans Hobby Red Buzzer. Man, I guess the reel just really wanted you to win, man. And you made a really interesting pick here. Based on the name, I would have thought that this was a cliff jumper, but it's a character called Go Shooter. At least this is what comes up when I look this figure up by name, but if I look it up by the company, this is called something else. I don't understand. I don't love the look of the plastic on this thing, but I've heard great things from everyone who picks one of these up. Though it is a Headmaster, disgusting. It at least looks interesting, and I have been tempted to pick up the weird as hell Windblade retool of this figure. I don't have too much to say though, because I've never handled one of these. Wish I had more to say about this for you, but all I know is what I see in these pictures. Slick car mode at least. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.